The King Edward Park circuit is one of the most testing on the state hill climb calendar, and in brilliant sunshine it was a Tamworth driver that shone. Eric Barnes racing his open wheel Farrell up the twisting circuit in record times, recording a 38.51 before lowering that mark again on his final run with a 38.05 second effort. Long-time rival Peter Gumley threw everything into his final run, but the defending Matara hill climb champion couldn't reel in Barnes's time. Meanwhile, it was a night for the up-and-comers at Newcastle Speedway last night. After his famous father John was black-flagged, Luke Pine found things tough in the super sedans as well, while Ron Pine's son Clayton might not have been keen to take Dad's car home after this. But it was Stu Robertson's son David that ended up taking the checkered flag in the final ahead of Clayton Pine. A birthday of sorts for Robert Payne at Waratah Golf Club today, teeing off in his 21st W.E. Alexander Golf Championship, but the two-time winner couldn't make it three. Strong winds made it tough going for many, except for overnight leader Nathan Goodchild, who maintained form. Sitting 2 shots back, Dustin Knight, but his putter wasn't helping in the cause to close the gap. Brett Jones too was teased by the tricky Waratah greens as he slipped away from the leaders as well. Starting the day in equal second, Neville Cole was in early trouble too, dropping 2 shots over the first 3 holes. Goodchild though was ever consistent. After carding 2 opening par rounds, his final 18 holes left him 1 under the card, well ahead of Dustin Knight at 8 over.
The 4-star liner struck a commanding sight as she passed through the heads this morning. A banner unfurled from the bridge marking the vessel's first visit to the port. 200 metres long, the liner carries 800 passengers and 400 crew. More than 300 of those arriving today sailed overnight from Sydney, many of them Novocastrians.
Leaving Sydney was great, but coming in here this morning with the sun shining on the buildings, it was, as Janet said, it makes you feel good to be a Novocastrian.
You don't realise how nice it is until you're coming in from outside. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
We've just been delighted with the whole community spirit that exists here, and I think the fact that we've brought so many people in to Newcastle on board from Sydney, and we're taking an equal number out, the ship will be full. And it really justifies our decision to come here.
On board, Captain Trig Voren showed holidaying songstress Marina Pryor the ropes.
Having a bit of a rest before I start some concerts with the Australian Pops Orchestra, and my first one is in Newcastle.
The Norwegian Capricorn Line says this voyage has been so popular they're planning another for next year.
Just prior to the Olympic Games, we'll be coming back into Newcastle on the way back down to Sydney from Queensland, and we'd like to look at other opportunities of coming in here on a more regular basis.
500 Hunter passengers, including Paul Harrigan and family, waved the city goodbye late this afternoon, setting out for a 10-night cruise of the South Pacific. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
The train came unstuck around 8 last night. Freight Corp workers say one wagon went first, derailing 6 others and gouging out a trail of mangled steel. Bogies were twisted, with coal pouring onto the tracks. One wagon was left balancing precariously close to tipping. Today residents surveyed the damage.
It's scary, very scary. I think I also noticed my next door neighbour, they're all leaving. I'm the only one here.
Efforts to clear the area began after the accident and continued through the night.
I haven't got much sleep because they've been working whole night until early in the morning. And up to now, I want to go to sleep.
Other trains have been diverted around the derailment as wagons are remounted on new bogies and coal is removed from the damaged tracks. Freight Corp says the slow speed of the train limited the damage to about 100 metres of railway, which will have to be repaired. It has refused to speculate on what caused the wagons to leave the tracks.
We'll be launching a full investigation, both ourselves and the Track Authority, to try and determine cause and to see what there is we can learn from this incident.
Freight Corp has not released an estimated cost of the accident. But workers estimate there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage and at least 2 days' work in cleaning up the mess. David McElwain, NBN News.
In front of more than 12,000 Vocal Spirit fans and against some of the biggest names in the NSL, the Breakers were at long odds to score an upset win. The Spirit had most of the early running, and after just 14 minutes the first goal came, but it wasn't to the home side. Up by 1, Newcastle did everything to stay in front, while Bob Catlin shrugged off injury to throw himself in the way of any Spirit challenge. But Newcastle's main problem was discipline. Playing his 100th game despite the flu, skipper Shane Price caused more headaches for himself. 1-0 at the break. The Spirit levelled things up on the booking sheet soon after. But Catlin kept Newcastle's grip on the scoreboard with trademark saves.
Stuck out an arm, another splendid save from the Newcastle goalkeeper.
One time-breaker, Clayton Zane just couldn't get one past his former teammates. Newcastle kept its head in front no matter what the cost. The clincher came in extra time with Peter Junknowitz heading home his first ever NSL goal in just his third senior match. Newcastle undefeated after 3 rounds.
After 60 years of BHP sand mining in Belmont, protesters gathered to stop the rezoning of the 560-hectare site for a 2,500 house development.
Narrow strip between the lake and the sea is already very overpopulated, and to put in about 4,000 to 5,000 more people in this area would be quite disastrous.
When the talking was done, the marching began, down to symbolically reclaim Redhead Beach. One man pretending to be a BHP employee summed up protesters' feelings for the area.
It's already been severely depleted over the years. We just want to stop it now and make sure that it is as it is now.
Lake Macquarie Council will be reconsidering the rezoning in December. In Newcastle, another corporate giant came under attack as part of World Anti-McDonald's Day.
McDonald's basically use a lot of packaging when they make their products and hand them out, which is just accumulated in waste.
McDonald's are the world's biggest user of beef and chicken products. The eggs and chicken products McDonald's sells are raised under conditions of extreme cruelty, and McDonald's don't provide a vegetarian option.
Veggie burgers were a hit with the converted, but not everyone was prepared to give McDonald's a miss.
The Glendale Regional Athletic and Gymnastics Centre was designed with disabled athletes in mind, and according to the German Paralympic team, it's as close to perfect as you get.
The next days we make a decision what we are doing. We intend to come here, but we have to make the final check.
Thomas Wuss should know all about it. The German team manager won silver and bronze as a field athlete at the Seoul Games in 1988 and gave Glendale the once-over with fellow German team hierarchy today. A squad of around 40 track and field athletes have to be catered for, along with coaches and officials. That number may escalate. With the news, the swim and volleyball team may also join the pre-Olympic training at the nearby Forum Aquatic Centre at Newcastle University. But for now, Glendale definitely gets the thumbs up.
The athletics is absolutely great for us, yeah, and we will look after for swimming. Okay, for swimming it's just how the people can get into the facilities and to get out.
It's hoped a decision can be made soon. Without the backing of a profitable leagues club, the Knights still managed to poll second in the league's criteria, just behind the Brisbane Broncos. But it's unlikely the Knights Leagues club will play an important financial role in the club's budgeting anytime soon.
In our 5-year plan, we've only allowed for it in the later 2003-2004.
What is crucial, however, are gate receipts, and getting better facilities at Marathon Stadium should only enhance that. Backed with the information from the league's survey of clubs, the Knights' charge for state dollars to upgrade the stadium is on again.
They told us that they didn't believe that they would make a decision before a final decision was made on the NRL criteria. Now that that's occurred, we'll certainly be turning up the heat again.
Meanwhile, the Knights will announce their new First Division coach by the end of the week after a board meeting that will ratify Steve Linnane's replacement. The decision should also be around the same time that Owen Craigie makes his official announcement that he'll leave Newcastle, most likely to join the merged West Tigers.
When BHP closed its steelmaking division 2 weeks ago, Newcastle lost its tenuous grip on its reputation as the Steel City. But it seems it may reclaim the title. The state government today offering to back a $1.5 billion mini mill on Kooragang Island.
Protect Steel's decision to seek investment for a new steel-making plant is a vote of confidence in the Hunter and in its highly skilled workforce.
The project would generate 700 direct jobs and construction work for around 2,000 people. A 48-hectare site on Kooragang Island has been earmarked for the facility, which is designed to process iron ore and coal into around 1 million tonnes of steel each year.
This gives the project access to the Hunter Valley's coal, to loading facilities and deep water port frontages for unloading raw materials and supplying export markets.
Protech executives are currently overseas drumming up international support for the scheme. Vanessa Spark, NBN News.
In this small Muswellbrook Hall is an exhibition with a difference. Republican and retired journalist Chris Flynn has collected 551 examples of Australian flags that are technically wrong.
There are 6 stars in the Australian flag and they all have 7 points except little epsilon here, which has 5. And epsilon seems to be the one that's usually always sinned against. There's either 7 or 6 points on epsilon. That's the sinner.
Among those who've got it wrong, Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party, the ALP, the RSL and several big businesses. Even SOCOG's new Olympic necktie fails the test.
I'm showing that we don't care about this present flag and it'll be easier to take it down and put up one that gets more respect.
The exhibition at the Muswellbrook Masonic Hall finishes tomorrow.
Protec Development Corporation is behind the $1.5 billion steelmaking scheme announced in State Parliament yesterday. Its directors are overseas and unavailable for comment until next week. But the Australian Workers' Union is positive about the prospect.
Just by virtue of the fact that the government have agreed to give it land, it's passed its feasibility studies, would lead you to conclude that it is a bit further down the track than some of the other proposals we've had.
And the biggest plus is for employment.
All reports are 700 direct when the plant's built, 2,000 in construction, and even if you have a modest flow-on of one job to one, that's another 700 indirect jobs.
In the community, the need for jobs was highlighted, but there are some concerns.
Yes, well, hopefully they'll learn from their past mistakes and make sure that they do something about avoiding pollution as far as possible.
There'll be no drama with pollution. It's all the modern technology.
Meanwhile, BHP says it is getting close to securing a new partner for the multi-purpose container terminal on its old wharves. An announcement is expected within a month.
On the 6th of July last year, 39-year-old Anthony Carroll was working at the Woollahra colliery when the roof gave way. 11 days later at the Awabba colliery, 54-year-old Barry Edwards died when an unsupported section of roof collapsed. Today, a coronial inquiry into both deaths handed down its recommendations. Among them, full risk assessments of all areas being mined, discouraging the use of handheld roof bolting equipment and better safety training for staff and management. The findings have been welcomed by David Carroll, who was working just metres away when his brother Anthony died.
These things have happened too much over the past, and if anything they can do to stop it happening, I feel it's a good thing.
Meanwhile, the state government has intervened to protect the jobs of more than 200 workers at the Wai'i and Munmora coal mines on the Central Coast. Power generator Delta Electricity had wanted to use cheaper Hunter Valley coal, but the Mines Minister stepped in to guarantee Delta would take 2 million tonnes a year of Central Coast coal.
I think Mr Regan has shown some very positive attitude to this whole outcome.
Its job security, 115 sacked miners from the Rio Tinto-owned Hunter Valley No. 1 mine can only dream about. Their 24-hour-a-day picket outside the mine is now a year old, and they're not going anywhere.
Nothing short of reinstatement for those people would be just.
The union's unfair dismissal case before the Industrial Relations Commission is due to resume shortly. A decision is expected by February. Phil Hind, NBN News, Late Edition.
Robbie Andrzejewski signed with the Breakers in the off-season after spending his first year in the NSL with Sydney United. The 19-year-old likes his new club, and it shows, with coach Lee Sterry calling him up into the starting 11 with the competition only 3 games old.
The boys are great. It's a good team to play with, and hopefully we'll have a great year, and we've got off to a good start.
With only a day to go before their clash with the Auckland Kings, Andrzejewski and teammates Greg Owens and Vasco Trapesky enjoyed some rare time off. But there'll be no relaxing tomorrow night, with the NSL newcomers having beaten reigning champions South Melbourne last week.
Our team this year's going to be easy, so we're taking every game as it comes and treating every team the same.
For one King, though, it'll be a homecoming. Hunter-born player Robbie Middleby started his soccer career with the Newcastle Breakers some 6 years ago. He returns as someone Lee Sterry is seeking to shut down. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
The simple task of erecting power poles went horribly wrong today when an Energy Australia auger struck a high-pressure gas main.
Energy Australia apparently were digging some holes to put in new telephone poles, and the main was ruptured in that manner.
Neighbouring residents on Lake Road were evacuated from the immediate vicinity. It was feared the gas would congregate in the valley suburb of Ellamore Vale. Firefighters took all precautions to ensure safety.
Firefighters are going down and turning off any house gas mains. That'll extinguish any pilot lights, and therefore there's no chance of an explosion.
Mother Nature lent a helping hand in dispersing the gas.
The breeze is a help. Gas being lighter than air as well is another asset. It's going to raise away from most of the residents.
Traffic was diverted around Lake Road peak hour, causing some delays. And already some customers are being affected. Gas pressure is being reduced at Pasminco Smelter. Lights and a high-pressure gas fitter will be flown up this evening to assist in extricating the auger from the pipe. The entire operation is expected to last around 4 to 5 hours. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
Car theft is a subject of obvious concern for insurer GIO. After analysing its figures for the 12 months up to May 99, it decided some motorists just aren't doing enough.
We've noticed that there have been a number of trends in the theft of motor vehicles, and many of them could be partially prevented.
Chief on the agenda, people who leave their keys in their car at service stations, and beachgoers who lock or even alarm vehicles only to leave their keys nearby. Both groups are increasingly becoming the target of thieves, a trend which started in Sydney.
We've seemed to follow Sydney with just about everything with life, and the trends just keep coming up the coast.
The advice from police and insurers hasn't changed though. Always lock your car, keep valuables out of sight, and try to park in a secure place. As for board riders,
I advise surfers to get a leg rope or something similar that's got a key holder in the leg rope. Most leg ropes for surfers these days have got these holders, and they can put their key in that holder.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
The $5 million complex has been in the pipeline for almost a decade, and just when it looks like becoming a reality, plans to choose a new location have sparked fears the project will be placed on the back burner.
Well, there's community unrest about where it's going because the community believe that the site is too small, and they also believe that the parking is going to be a big problem to them.
Professor Highland says it's this land earmarked behind the Civic Centre which has guaranteed government funding for the development.
The funding certainly could be lost, and also we would lose at least a year, if not more, in our development.
He claims it's by far the best site for the campus, which would enrol more than 700 students.
We want to be close to the central business district so that we can access part-time students from the business area.
But Councillor Beck says they will be looking at other options for the university and has dismissed Professor Highland's comments they'll lose funding.
I've had information that the government said that it is to go in the Tweed, not on that specific site, but not to go to Lismore, Coffs Harbour, it's to go in the Tweed.
Professor Highland wants approval for the development early next month. Nicole Webb, NBN News.
A week of rolling strikes failed to win academic staff their pay rise of 12.5%. Now it's a matter of try again. The Tertiary Education Union has banned the processing of student results, meaning work will be assessed, but no marks issued until the dispute is resolved.
It's not good news for students, it's not good news for staff. It's not something we do lightly, so it's a move based on frustration at the way in which our program of in-price bargaining is broken down.
And it doesn't end there. The academics are also threatening to boycott university opening and graduation ceremonies and withdraw from voluntary community work.
Academic staff salaries have declined and workloads have increased. So this is the general principle. We need more money, and I think across the country, other universities, Sydney is the most obvious one, have been shown a vote of confidence by their Vice-Chancellor and given more money.
Acting Vice-Chancellor Brian English says the university is standing by its offer of 9.7%, but is still hoping to sort out the situation with the union. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
Longboarders love their history, and no World Championship is surfed without the blessing of the waters. Surfers from all over the world joined the ceremony on 1 Mile Beach this morning. Some brought water from their home breaks to mix together before asking for great surf over the week-long competition. While the offering didn't turn into instant big swell, surfers hit the 1 mile break in order to get some last-minute practice before competition officially starts tomorrow. And they'll be competing for most unique trophies. 5 carpenters from the Purimaiban group have worked 8-hour days for the last week to finish the trophies. Crafting native Australian animals, the group has called on their own Koori traditions in their creations, with the Old Man of the Sea a common theme throughout. It's just hope that old man blows up some good swell for the world's best. Heading into the final round with a 4-shot lead, 27-year-old Daniel Di Pietro had missed just 1 target in the lead-up rounds. He missed 3 early in the decider to open up the 25-shot final. But after gathering his composure, the Victorian trench shooter shot down his first national title, and he couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous, but I held it together and then missed one towards the end, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm wrapped, actually. I've been training for a year or so very happy.
From good shots to good sorts, but the aim is just the same for the Forum Aquatic and Fitness Centre's elite step aerobic team, which is hunting for national glory as well. The 5-woman team chalked up the state title at their first attempt, and if they can make it 2 titles from 2 attempts, they'll be representing Australia at the World Championships in Belgium next year. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
It was just 12 months ago Newcastle City Church's City Care Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Program moved to its Carrington premises, but now it's outgrown its building and is looking for a new home.
We really now want to turn that into a detox centre and then go and purchase or build a whole new facility that can take up to roughly about 100 people.
Under the plan, the existing building will be turned into a detoxification centre and the rehab unit will be moved to a larger site. It's all about meeting the needs of the community.
There is a desperate need for rehabilitation for people wanting to come in and get their lives together and to be set free from that drug abuse.
In a bid to help raise the cash, CityCare is holding a charity auction at Newcastle Showground on the 27th of November. As well as asking the public to get involved, CityCare is hoping a few celebrities may just lend a hand.
One of our other guys that's on board here has spoken to Mickey Rooney, and apparently he's shown a bit of interest, and even Bob Carr has been given an invitation to come, and and the Newcastle Knights, we're talking with them at the moment.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News. It was back to work today for up-and-coming Ironman Shane Blair. The 18-year-old will line up on the 27th of November in round 1 of the Uncle Toby Super Series, after qualifying at the Sunshine Coast on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm wrapped with it actually. This is my 3rd time of trial. I was just looking to go up there and make the final first, and if I could do that, I thought I had a pretty good chance of qualifying.
Shane is following in the footsteps of brother Josh, his training partner.
It's something I also wanted to do, yes, but with my brother being there, it was good if we could both make it too. We've got a younger brother also who's coming through, and hopefully make it 3 brothers in the series.
22-year-old Josh, who finished 2nd in last year's series, is looking to go 1 better this time.
And it's been a long winter's training now. We're starting a little bit later, and at the moment, yeah, I'm really keen to start racing, and hopefully it'll be a great summer in number 1.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News. The morning brought perfect weather for the 74 riders, but a strong wind meant the Newcastle to Nelson Bay leg was never going to be easy. A journey of just 60 kilometres was today's mission, but few were prepared to make any bold attacks for the lead over the short distance. Australian pair Hank Vassan and Brad Mills eventually did make a break, with about 20 kilometres to go, but their hopes were dashed as the rest of the field pegged them back near the finish. In the sprint home, Jan Kirsch had the legs to win the 2nd stage. In 2nd spot, Jeremy Hunt picked up enough time bonuses to snare the leader's jersey for the first time. After a short break, it was back in the saddle for the 30-kilometre criterium around the streets of Nelson Bay. Riders jostled for an assault on the line. The photo finish showed a victory for the German Bosch team when Torsten Willem collected the spoils. Riders head down to the Central Coast tomorrow. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.